The wind howled like a demon straight from hell, whipping snow into my face as I burst out of the trading post's door, my boots slipping on the icy threshold. It was 1888, and Bitter Creek, Nebraska was buried under the worst blizzard I'd ever known, a whiteout that swallowed everything alive, turning the world into a frozen grave. I didn't care. The rage burning in my chest was hotter than any fire, fueled by the vicious whispers I'd overheard just moments before. That Whitaker girl? She's no better than a saloon wench, peddling whiskey to roughnecks. Bet she's sampled more than her share. The words echoed in my skull, spat out by Mrs. Harlan, the self-righteous pillar of our little Christian community. Right there in the store my pa had built with his bare hands, I stumbled forward, the gale nearly knocking me off my feet, my cloak flapping wildly like a trapped bird. Why did they hate me so much? All I'd done was help Pa run the place, stocking shelves with flour, blankets, tools, and yes, the whiskey that kept the miners and cowboys from freezing solid in this God-forsaken frontier. But in Bitter Creek, where every soul clung to the Bible like it was their last breath, a woman like me, unmarried at 23 with no husband to tame her, was a target. The cold pierced my skin, but it was nothing compared to the ice in those judgmental stares I'd endured all day. I had to get away, even if it meant facing the storm alone. My name is Emma Whitaker, and that night, I thought the blizzard might be my end. But looking back, it was just the beginning of a storm that would uproot my life, drag me through fire and blood, and lead me to a love I never imagined. A raw, untamed passion that healed wounds I didn't know I carried. It started with fury, but it bloomed into something fierce and tender, the kind that makes a woman's heart ache with longing and hope all at once. Pa had always said Bitter Creek was a place where folks came to start over, but for me, it felt like a cage. The town huddled on the edge of the plains, a cluster of weathered buildings fighting against the endless wind. Our trading post was the heart of it, a squat log structure with a bar in the back where men gathered to drown their sorrows. I'd grown up there, learning to tally accounts and measure grain while Ma, God rest her soul, taught me to sow and pray. She died when I was 15, taken by a fever that swept through like a thief in the night, leaving Pa and me to fend for ourselves. He was a good man, stern but kind, with calloused hands and a faith that never wavered. But even he couldn't shield me from the tongues that wagged. That evening, the storm had rolled in fast, blanketing the streets in drifts higher than a horse's belly. Inside the post, the air was thick with the smell of tobacco and spilled ale, the lanterns flickering as gusts rattled the shutters. I was behind the counter, wiping down the scarred wood, when a group of locals huddled near the stove. Mrs. Harlan, with her pinched face and Bible always tucked under her arm, was leading the charge. Her husband, Reverend Harlan, ran the church, and she acted like his deputy, sniffing out sin wherever she could. "Did you hear about Emma?" she whispered, loud enough for me to catch every syllable. "Working in that den of vice. No wonder no decent man will have her. Mark my words, she's headed for ruin." I froze, my rag mid-swipe. My cheeks burned, not from the fire's heat, but from humiliation. Beside her sat young Clara Jenkins, my childhood friend, or so I'd thought. Clara, with her golden curls and demure dresses, was engaged to the banker's son. She'd always been the proper one, while I was the girl with dirt under her nails from hauling crates. "It's a shame," Clara added, her voice dripping with false pity. "Emma's pretty enough, but who wants a wife tainted by all that? Roughness?" The men at the bar chuckled. One of them, old Tom Grady, a grizzled trapper, slurring, "She ain't bad to look at, but yeah, not the type you'd bring home to Mama. Too wild. That one!" Their words sliced deeper than any knife. I'd never touched a drop of whiskey, never flirted with those rowdy cowboys. I kept my head down, focused on keeping the business afloat so Pa could afford his medicines for his aching joints. But in Bitter Creek, perception was truth, and the code was unbreakable. Women were to be pure, submissive, seen but not heard. Any deviation and you were branded. I slammed the rag down, my hands trembling. "Enough!" I muttered under my breath, but inside a tempest raged. How dare they? I'd sacrificed my youth for this town, turning down suitors who wanted a meek bride, because I dreamed of something more, a life beyond these frozen plains, maybe even love that burned like the stories Ma used to read me from her tattered romance novels. But dreams were luxuries here. Without thinking, I grabbed my cloak and bolted for the door. Pa called after me, "Emma, where in tarnation are you going in this weather?" But I didn't stop. The door banged shut behind me, and the blizzard swallowed me whole. The wind screamed, pelting my face with needles of ice. I trudged forward, no destination in mind, just away. Away from the lies, the judgment, the suffocating expectations. My boots sank into the snow, each step a battle. The town lights faded behind me, lost in the swirling white. My heart pounded, a mix of anger and fear. What was I doing? This was madness, but the hurt propelled me. A deep ache in my soul that whispered, "You're more than this, Emma. You deserve better." Minutes blurred into what felt like hours. The cold seeped through my layers, numbing my fingers, then my toes. I tripped over a hidden root, sprawling face first into a drift. Gasping, I pushed up, but the world spun. Where was I? The familiar paths were erased, the landscape a blank canvas of death. Panic clawed at my throat. "Help!" I cried, but the wind stole my voice. Then my foot slipped on a thin sheet of ice, masking a deep ravine. I heard the crack before I felt it, the ground giving way. I plummeted, my ankle twisting with a sickening snap, pain exploding like fireworks. I hit the bottom hard, rocks gouging my side, warm blood soaking my dress and mingling with the snow. "No, no," I whimpered, trying to stand, but my leg buckled. The ravine walls loomed like prison bars, the storm piling snow on top. I was trapped, alone, dying. Tears froze on my cheeks as memories flooded me. Ma's gentle smile, Pa's proud nod when I balanced the books, even Clara's laughter from better days. Was this how it ended? Buried under the weight of their scorn? Exhaustion pulled me under, the cold a cruel lullaby. But in the haze I heard a distant boom. A gunshot? Or thunder? Darkness claimed me. I woke to warmth, a crackling fire chasing away the chill. My body ached, bandaged and propped on a rough bed. Where was I? Panic surged again as I took in the dim cabin. Log walls, a stone hearth, sparse furniture. And him, a tall, broad-shouldered man stirring a pot over the flames. His back was to me, but I could see the rifle leaning nearby, his coat dusted with snow. He turned, and my breath caught. Rugged features, stubbled jaw, eyes like stormy skies. Piercing, guarded. "You're awake," he said, voice low and gravelly, with that drawl common to men who'd tamed the wild. "Thought you were a goner out there. Who are you?" I whispered, pulling the blanket tighter, my heart racing not just from fear, but something else. A flicker of curiosity amid the terror. "Luke Donovan," he replied, handing me a tin cup of steaming broth. "Found you in the ravine. Damn fool thing, wandering out in that storm. Drink this. It'll warm your bones." I sipped cautiously, the heat spreading through me. "Why'd you save me?" He shrugged, sitting on a stool, his presence filling the small space. "Couldn't leave you to die, ain't right." But his eyes held shadows, a pain that mirrored my own. As the storm raged outside, we talked, or rather I prodded, and he answered in grunts. He lived alone, hunting and trapping far from town. "No family," he said flatly, but I sensed the lie in the way his jaw tightened. Days blurred as the blizzard pinned us down. The cabin became our world, tense at first. I, a proper lady, alone with a stranger. What would they say? But Luke was respectful, cooking meals, tending my wounds with surprisingly gentle hands. His touch sent unwelcome sparks through me, a warmth that had nothing to do with the fire. "You remind me of someone," he muttered one night, staring into the flames. "Strong, but broken inside." I opened up too, spilling about the whispers, the judgment. "They think I'm ruined because I work the store. But it's all I have." He nodded, his gaze softening. "Folks like that, they fear what they can't control." "You're better than 'em, Emma." Hearing my name on his lips stirred something deep. A longing I'd buried. Was this attraction, or just gratitude? The push and pull confused me, fear of scandal warring with the comfort of his company. When the storm finally broke, Luke saddled his horse and helped me onto it, his arm strong around my waist. "Time to get you home," he said, but regret laced his words. Back in Bitter Creek, the reception was colder than the snow. Pa rushed out, his face pale. "Emma!" Thank God. But behind him, the townsfolk gathered, whispers flying. She was with that Donovan fella, alone for days. Scandalous! Mrs. Harlan crossed her arms. Ruined, that's what she is. No man'll touch her now. Clara averted her eyes, guilt flashing. Pa pulled me inside, Luke following. "What happened?" Pa demanded, I explained, but the damage was done. Pa sighed, rubbing his temples. "The Reverend's already talking excommunication." Only way to fix this is marriage. To him, my stomach dropped. Pa, no. I barely know him. Luke stood tall, unflinching. If it'll save her honor, I'll do it. She's a good woman. Don't deserve this. His words hit like a thunderbolt. Protective. Sincere. Did he feel it too, this spark? Or was it duty? The wedding was hasty in the drafty church, with Reverend Harlan officiating begrudgingly. Clara stood as witness, her envy palpable. You're lucky, she whispered, but it sounded hollow. As Luke slipped the plain ring on my finger, his eyes met mine, full of promise, vulnerability. I ain't much, Emma, but I'll protect you. My heart swelled, fear mingling with hope. This wasn't the love I'd dreamed of, but as we rode back to his cabin, now our home, I felt a pull, a magnetic draw. The awkward silences followed, broken by shared chores. He taught me to chop wood. I mended his shirts. One evening, as stars pierced the sky, he confessed, lost my family in a fire years back. Thought I'd never feel again. I touched his hand. You're feeling now, Luke? That night banditos struck, shadowy figures bursting through the door, guns drawn. Where's the gold, Donovan? One snarled. Luke moved like lightning, drawing his revolver, shots echoing as he felled two. Blood sprayed, the air acrid with gunpowder. I screamed, grabbing a poker, but he shielded me. Stay back! The leader lunged, but Luke tackled him, fists flying in a brutal brawl. He won, but not without a gash across his arm. Panting, he tied the survivor. Old enemies. I was a bounty hunter once. Hid some bounty gold here. Shock rippled through me. You never said... Didn't want to scare you. But as I bandaged him, our eyes locked, the adrenaline turning to heat. His lips brushed mine, tentative, then fervent. Emma. The kiss ignited everything, a vortex of emotion. But danger loomed. The banditos' gang was hunting us. Whispers of revenge reaching town. We fled into the snowy woods, pursued. Luke's horse faltered in a drift, shots whizzing past. Run! He yelled, covering me. Hiding in a cave, he revealed more. The gold's from a train robbery. I stopped. They think it's theirs. Trust wavered. Was he a hero or outlaw? But when they ambushed, Luke dueled the boss in a whirlwind of bullets, wind howling, his shot true but taking a bullet himself. I dragged him to safety, tears streaming. Don't leave me, Luke. As he recovered, fever breaking, our bond deepened. But then fever hit me, malaria from the town's outbreak. Luke nursed me, his vigil breaking his walls. I love you, Emma, from that first night. His confession shattered me, love blooming amid pain. We survived, stronger, ready for whatever came. The first rays of spring sun pierced the Nebraska sky, melting the snow that had imprisoned Bitter Creek for months. I stood outside our cabin, my hands raw from planting the first seeds in the patch of earth Luke had cleared. The air smelled of damp soil and pine, a promise of renewal after the brutal winter. But even as the world softened, my heart carried the weight of what we'd endured. Banditos, blood, and the town's cruel whispers. Luke and I were married now, bound by necessity, but something deeper stirred between us. A fragile thread of trust weaving through the scars of our pasts. I wanted to believe in it, in us. But the frontier had a way of testing every hope. My name is Emma Whitaker, and this is the story of how we fought for love in a land that offered none freely. That spring, as the snows retreated, new dangers rose like wolves from the shadows, threatening to tear us apart. But in the fire of those trials, we found something worth fighting for, a bond that burned brighter than any storm. Luke was out mending the fence, his broad shoulders straining against his worn shirt as he drove posts into the thawing ground. I watched him from the garden, my spade paused mid-dig. His movements were deliberate, each swing of the hammer a testament to the quiet strength I'd come to rely on. But his eyes, those stormy gray pools, held secrets he hadn't yet shared. The banditos' attack weeks ago had revealed his past as a bounty hunter, a life of blood and gold he'd left behind. Or so he claimed. I wanted to trust him, but doubts gnawed at me. What else was he hiding? Emma, you gonna stare all day or get those beans planted? Luke called, a rare grin breaking his stern face. I flushed, stabbing the spade into the dirt. Just making sure you don't wreck my fence before it's even up. He chuckled, a low rumble that sent a shiver through me. Not from cold, but from something warmer, dangerous. I turned back to my work, trying to ignore the way my pulse quickened. Love was a reckless thing out here, a luxury we couldn't afford. Yet, every glance, Every brush of his hand as we passed tools or shared a meal fanned a spark I couldn't douse. That afternoon, as we sat on the porch sipping coffee, a distant rumble shook the ground. I frowned, scanning the horizon. Thunder? Luke's face darkened. Ain't thunder. He stood grabbing his rifle. Stay here. Before I could protest, he was striding toward the ridge. I followed, my skirt catching on brambles, heart pounding. The rumble grew louder, a low roar like a stampede. We crested the hill and my breath caught. Below, the narrow pass to Bitter Creek was gone, swallowed by a cascade of snow and rock. A spring avalanche, triggered by the thaw. Boulders blocked the trail, snow piling higher by the second. Damn it, Luke muttered, his jaw tight. We're cut off. I stared at the wreckage, panic rising. How do we get to town? Pa needs his medicine and we're low on